So I have on my college alumni sweatshirt, which is completely unintentional. Welcome to Most Fashionable Crime, a fashion-related true crime podcast hosted by me, Taryn. On this channel, I go over the topics of my podcast, and I take a deeper dive into one of the facets of the podcast or explore a different area of the podcast episode. But in this week's episode of the podcast, which is a bonus episode, I talked about the fall of Mossimo, which was a fashion label that was super popular in the 90s. But of course, you might recognize the name due to the college admission scandal. The 2019 college admission scandal, also known as Operation Varsity Blues, included 33 parents of college applicants. Some of those parents happened to be famous or more well-known than the other parents. Lori Loughlin and Mossimo Giannulli were among 50 people that were charged in this scandal. Okay, so I'm just gonna read this off of Wikipedia in case you are not familiar with this. The indictment against the couple alleged that they had paid $500,000 to the Key Worldwide Foundation disguised as a donation so the admissions committee of the University of Southern California would believe their two daughters would join the women's rowing team, although neither had trained in the sport nor had plans to. When I was looking more into this, I believe that it was the oldest daughter and maybe the youngest daughter. They're only like a year apart, and apparently a counselor at their school mentioned something about how they weren't on a rowing team and that Mossimo, their dad, came to the school and basically fussed and yelled at the counselor. And what's interesting is one of the daughters, the youngest one, I believe she was born in 1999, and I think the older one, Bella, was born in 1998. The younger one is a pretty big influencer and YouTuber. To me, that's interesting because if they have this big following, I'm sure they actually did row or were on a rowing team, they would have posted about it. They probably would have shared about it. So it's interesting that this was the lie that they, attached themselves to. And allegedly, they also took pictures of themselves rowing and posing in rowing photos to submit to the admissions team. So it seems like everyone kind of knew what was going on in this. I know some people within the scandal, some of the applicants in the scandal weren't aware that their parents were doing all this in order to get them into college, which is really embarrassing. Both Mossimo and Lori were fined, and I think they did a little bit of jail time. I wasn't aware that Olivia Jade was a big influencer, but I learned she did a podcast before her parents were charged, and basically she said she didn't even want to go to college and that her parents basically made her go to college because neither of them graduated from college. And I mentioned this on the podcast, but apparently Mossimo lied about attending college too. He didn't graduate. He never said he graduated, but he lied about attending the University of Southern California. If it was so important to them as parents for their children to go to college, if you wanted them to go to college and you wanted them to succeed and do well and get into college, maybe you should have hired more tutors. I don't know, there were other options, and why did it have to be the University of Southern California? This tweet I'm about to read out is pretty much the basis of this video. So this is a tweet that I saw recently from Couture Crema, and this reads, "Curious, what job would you guys do if you were a trust fund baby?" And so sometimes I do think about that question. If I were born into a wealthy family, what would I be doing? And I think it's just interesting that their parents felt so passionate about them going to college that they paid $500,000 for them to go to college. Like that amount of money is absurd. If your parents have $500,000 to lie in order to get you into college, you have options. Like there are other things for you to do, because they could have given each of their kids $250,000 to do what they want to do. And it seems like Olivia Jade was finding a way to do what she wanted to do. I have no idea what the older sister does. It appears that the older sister, Isabella, known as Bella, wants to be an actress like her mom. And it looks like she's appeared in some Hallmark movies with her mom. So I guess that's the direction that she wanted to take. They also have connections. They have access to a lot of different areas and things that many people don't. To answer the question of if you were a trust fund baby, what would you do? We see Olivia Jade. She wanted to be an influencer, a content creator. She just wanted to kind of post on social media as her job and get brand deals and that sort of thing. We see that the other child wanted to be an actress. Plenty of actresses and actors go to school for that, but if your mom is already in the entertainment industry and you're already being casted alongside her, you clearly have the connections in order to work in that industry without going to college. I can understand if you want to take acting classes, get an acting coach, maybe you did want to go through a theater program. So I can understand that. Personally, I'm going to answer that question. If I were a trust fund baby, I would probably do everything that I'm currently doing now, just not working a 9 to 5. I would have fun. I would travel more. I would not be as stressed. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to listen to the podcast. The new season will be launching on Monday, February 14th. Valentine's Day, so make sure you're on the lookout for that. If you really do enjoy the podcast, please leave a 5-star rating on Spotify and or Apple Podcasts. Thank you for supporting Most Fashionable Crime.